Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We're really happy and excited to have you join today's webinar. We advertised it as German Excellence for Nigeria. We're introducing a really fantastic company today called FREUND Maschinenfabrik. They're part of our consulting project, Wirtschaftsnetzwerk Afrika, Projekt West Africa, at the German Delegation of Commerce and Industry. At the delegation, we've been present for 40 years in various sectors, supporting companies with their market entry and strategies to Nigeria. We've been present in Lagos for about 40 years, and last year, 2 years ago, we opened an office in Abuja, and I'm heading the Agribusiness Competence Center. My name is Yinka, and I'm really happy to welcome Mr. Niels Werner and Mr. Björn Busse from FREUND Maschinenfabrik today. They'll be talking you through some of their products, some of their machines. They'll be showing us a few things and just introducing what they have to offer for the Nigerian market. We're really excited to have participants rolling in, so thank you so much for joining, and please excuse and forgive the delay. We had some technical difficulties. But yeah, please feel free to use the chat function to introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, what company you represent, what your interests or your expectations for today's webinar are, and use the Q&A function or the chat function to ask any of your questions. We have a presentation by both speakers that are going to run for about 15-20 minutes, and thereafter we'll be addressing your questions one by one. So again, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll hand over right to Mr. Björn Busse and Mr. Niels Werner to take us through their companies. Thank you and good afternoon.
Okay, Niels, who should start? Me? You?
You can start.
Okay. I don't know who's joining us. Yeah, hello, my name is Björn. I'm quite new in the company, FREUND company. I'm a sales guy like Niels. We are colleagues, and Niels is with me because he has a lot of experience in the world from many projects. So I think he will help me when I have no answer. Yeah, I'm 51 years old. My home is Norway. I live in Germany, and yeah, this is for me so far. I'm happy to give you all the information you need, and I'm very excited to see who's sitting on the other side of the table. So far, so good, I think.
Yeah, as Björn already has said, we are colleagues. We're both working in sales, different stories, and today we're going to give you like a little overview about how our company is working, or what we are doing, what solutions we can offer or provide for your problems maybe. And yeah, so maybe Björn can start the presentation if he likes to. I don't know if Ulyanka has to share screen, maybe, or that Björn is allowed to share his screen, that we can start.
Yes, he may share his screen, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That should be right in the middle of your screen on the bottom line. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. That time. Can you see it now? You see my screen?
You are sharing your screen, yeah. We just need the presentation now.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. So.
Maybe you can stop sharing for now until the presentation is up.
No, it's so far. Is it clear now? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the company name is FREUND. What's happening now? It's a company who's based in Paderborn in Germany. The closest city is Bielefeld. I don't know. Somebody knows. And the company have history in development of tools and products from the what do you call it in English? Jesus, was in der Schlachterindustrie? Nils.
Slaughtering and debulking.
Yeah, slaughter industry. Yeah. So yeah, but why is this? Yeah, you see, it's based, it's starting in Wuppertal. It's more than 100-year old, and is in the 3rd generation. And together we roughly 130 employers in 6 different departments. So if anyone has a question to this, what we're telling, just ask us. It's an old company. This is registered, its company in 1928, and the first breaking safe is it's coming from the 1955. So it's a long experience. It's a long history in the company and a lot of experience. And the FREUND company is one of the top 3 manufacturers in the world. And we have a complete machine program for stunning and for finishing. And we are known around the world. So we have many customers as innovate a manufacturer. A lot of engineers who are working for us, for the company, for us. We have, I think, more than 110 products, and I think it's at least 16 patents in Germany. No question. Okay. The products is for stunning and for slaughtering. Und wollen wir jetzt da jetzt einsteigen, Nils, mit diesen Hala?
The question came up front. What about halal slaughtering? Because that's a kind of important topic for Nigeria, and it's sometimes a little difficult to tell if something is halal or not, because sometimes it depends on the regulation on each country. So sometimes you have different regulations in I don't know exactly how it is in Nigeria, but it's also different from Asian countries to, for example, Iran or other Muslimic countries. Sometimes stunning is allowed in general and it's still halal, and in certain areas stunning is not allowed at all. So if that should be the case, that it's not allowed, then you do just your traditional halal slaughtering, and then the further processing of the carcass or the slaughtered animal will happen with our tools like normal. So it's only about the stunning question. Maybe you can continue if you want.
Yeah. Okay. Again, when somebody wants to know something and somebody have a question, is just ask us, me and Niels. This is this. Then, of course, we have products for cutting, and many products for cutting and many products for finishing. And for these products, we have, of course, some references around the globe. So when somebody's interested to know what customer using cutting machine, what customer and where they're using the machine for finishing, is just, again, ask us and we can give you some more details about this. Our products will be used in big companies and big companies who's maybe doing 15,000, 10,000, 20,000 pigs a day, animal as a huge quality. Then it's a medium and it's a small. So I think our products could be used in every range, in every size. Okay. We have more than 75 distributors around the globe. We have 3 joint ventures with 3 companies, and I think we are, yeah, what in the top 75 distributors in the world. So we are around the globe, and we're selling, yeah, around the globe to many different customers. And I think this is a very fast description what we do. I think we could talk much more, but the question is, what are you doing and what are you interested in and what are you looking for? And maybe what Niels told you, where can we help you?
Hi, Björn. So participants cannot ask any questions. They cannot unmute themselves. Hence why they'll be using the chat function and the Q&A
Yeah, I see.
to pose questions afterwards. So if you have any videos to share, if there's more information about specific products that you would like to showcase, then please do use the time. And then we'll look into the questions at the end of the session and give you an opportunity to answer them. Thank you.
I can invite you. Ask for some small videos. Is this correctly understand from my side?
Yeah, so I'm just saying, if you'd like to show a video showcasing any of your products, or if you have more information or pictures to share, then we still have ample of time. Otherwise, we would open the Q&A and just start treating the questions.
I think it's better. I just saw the first question. I think it's easier if we start the Q&A because it's kind of pretty individual solutions are needed. So if you don't mind, we can start right away with the questions.
Okay, sure. So again, we will invite all participants to use the Q&A function and the chat function to post a specific question. One question that we already received at the very beginning, so before the webinar started, was around halal, which I believe that the speakers addressed already. Are there any other specific questions that you would like to ask the speakers? I see one asked by Ola Sadiq. For some small starters, do you have portable cutting finishing tools? Anything portable? Can you talk about portable tools?
We've got, especially for cutting and finishing, right? The answer is going up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much all of our tools are in some way portable. Okay, so that doesn't mean they work with a battery or something. That means our tools are like handheld tools. So most of them are not stationary. Okay, so for finishing, for example, we have something which is called a trimmer, which is much a round blade driven by a pneumatic motor or otherwise an electric motor. So that's pretty much plug and play. So even for smaller businesses or starters, as you said, or asked, we have this kind of solution as well, yeah. Or also smaller breaking saws, or depending on what you are slaughtering or what you want to cut. Maybe if you give us a little bit further information about this, we can give you even a better answer.
Okay, great, thank you. So the answer to the question is a clear yes. Another question being asked by Okodo Okechukwu, Sunday, is how can an SME company in Nigeria buy and install piggery processing machines for pork production? I think this is more of an importing question, right? Which isn't a question that we would be answering in this format, since we're specifically looking at the slaughtering tools and specifically questions for FREUND Maschinenfabrik. But if you're interested in importing, then that's a question that we can answer outside of this session. There is another question coming in by Michael Samuel, saying that he's a rabbit farmer. Are there any tools that you offer specifically for his kind of small business? He's a small rabbit farmer.
Is he doing like rabbit slaughtering and selling the complete rabbit without skin to the customer, or what is the end product?
So that's the question that we have here. So I don't have any detailed information, but running with the assumption, what kind of tools do you have that could be beneficial to him?
to be honest, maybe for rabbits it's getting a little bit difficult because the working steps, if you sell it as a whole piece or as the whole carcass, are not that many. But we have probably something for stunning if you have like medium capacities. Then we're talking about electric stunning for rabbits. But this is going a little bit more on the industrial way, and not really craftsmanship anymore. But yeah, I think that will be the most useful thing we can do for rabbits.
There's another question coming in again by Ola Sadi, saying that they're looking at rams, goats, and cows. Which of your tools are specifically useful for the slaughtering of rams, goats, and cows?
For this lines, the slaughterhouse, it's called slaughter line. We can pretty much supply everything, as Björn mentioned before in the presentation, from driving the cattle or rams into the mostly halal slaughter box, and then afterwards from the splitting to breaking the breastbone, and then also the primal cutting afterwards. So we can hydraulic leg shears, of course. So we can pretty much supply the complete slaughter line for each of these kinds of animal, different industrial levels. So depending on how much he wants to optimize with our machines in his line, we can adjust this. So we have different for different duties, for example. So different machines for maybe smaller plants or bigger plants. That's very individual, yeah.
Okay, great. So we have Mr. Ogbolo Okechukwu Sunday, who will rephrase this question. Thank you so much. This question now reads, what pig or poultry processing machine do you have for small businesses? Processing machines for small businesses.
So we are a little bit away from the slaughtering if we talk bandsaws. So then they would continue the work with you.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a comment by Mr. Michael Samuel asking whether the slides of the presentation will be shared. Yes, absolutely. The slides will be shared, and the contact details of Björn also will be shared as well for you to directly get in touch with them thereafter and start bilateral conversations, hopefully. So yes, absolutely, we will share the slides. Another question by Mr. Aliyu Suwaid is, what is the power capacity needed to operate a medium capacity slaughtering line? So that's around power capacity for your tools.
I think power capacity in terms of what kind of power supply is needed, maybe.
Yeah, that's how I understand as well.
Yeah, we offer. I'm not sure about the local voltage in Nigeria, to be honest with you, but we offer tools from like 400 volts. 50 hertz, 60 hertz, that doesn't matter. And we also have, if you want some kind of more safety, we offer all our tools also in 42 volts with a transformer on it. So it will be more safe if he's operating the hand tool, 42 volts on it instead of 400. Not that an accident did happen anytime, but yeah, it's just for safety reasons.
Thank you. So that question has been answered. Another question from Mr. Aliyu Suwaid is, do you have separate lines for cattle and goats, or does one processing machine suffice? Do you have separate lines, or are your tools overarching?
Maybe it's easier to understand that we do not supply the whole line in terms of also the rails and also the conveyors and things like this. We focus on the hand tools, on the machinery itself. And we do have different tools for cattle and goats. So of course for goats, even if the steps are pretty much the same, like cutting the legs and pulling off the skin, but the tools are different from the ones you use for cattle, of course. So we have different solutions, different tools.
Okay, great. Another question by Mr. Aliyu Suwaid is, what is the power capacity needed to operate a medium capacity slaughtering line for cattle and goats? Or would you say that your previous question kind of like answered that as well?
I think so. Yeah, because it's not depending on the animal which kind of power supply we need for the tools. So like you can imagine, we have like three main excuse me, we have like three main kinds of power supply. One is electric, which is the most common one for all our breaking saws and splitting saws. Then we've got like hydraulic power, which is used for most of our shears, like the leg shears or brisket shears, every kind, like everything what is, these kinds are hydraulic driven. And we also have some tools which are driven by pneumatic, by air pressure. So these are the three main types of power supply we mostly need in your environments to run on.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the answers. So we still have a bit of time to receive a few more questions. We've had one person introduce themselves in the chat. Please use the chat function to introduce themselves. All the people who registered for this webinar, which were about 40 people, all your contact details would be shared with FREUND and with our speakers afterwards. Anyway, they'll be sharing the presentation slides, and you'll be able to ask more detailed questions and start bilateral conversations. But since we're still here and we have time, please do use the Q&A to ask any additional questions or the chat function to introduce yourselves. We have one more question coming in from Mr. Shegon Ajibola. How many watts does your tools for goat slaughtering have? He said it before, but I guess he can repeat that question.
That's depending on the machine, because as I said before, like we have different variants or different models. Like for example, you have one application. You want to cut the ribs, for example, and then we have like 3 different types of machine. You can do the job, but for different capacities. So we have like one which is for pretty heavy duty for real big industrial slaughterhouses, and then we have like also smaller ones which are which have less watt and a little bit less power, and of course they are also cheaper. So that's what I meant when I was saying that it really depends on the individual environment, which one or which machine is the most suitable for you. So, but to give you numbers, maybe it would make sense to offer to share a product catalog with all products and all the technical details, also the watch, like the power of the tools, and the most interesting technical specs are mentioned in this one. So if anyone is interested, I'm sure that Björn can send it to each of the members here.
We have previously shared the product catalog, but afterwards we'll be sharing it again with your contact details. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. Do we have any more questions coming in? We still have a bit of time. So they have answered the question around halal. Yes, absolutely. They've also answered questions around power supplies and tools. If you have any more questions, please do keep them coming. Otherwise, as we said, we had previously shared the product catalog as well as links to the website. We will afterwards be sharing the product catalog again, a link to this recording, and for those who missed the beginning of the presentation, we'll also be sharing the presentation itself as well as their contact details. So please do get in touch with them directly. Thank you for joining so far. And if there are any more questions, we'll give it 1 or 2 more minutes. And while we wait for the questions to come in, I'll hand over again to Mr. Björn Busse and Niels Wöllner to talk a bit more about their interest in the Nigerian market and perhaps where else they are present within the African market already.
Björn, do you want to maybe tell something about where we are active right now? And maybe in the background, I can see if I can open up the product catalog, share my screen, maybe we can give a quick overview through the product catalog as well, if we still have one.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we're not so active, but we're doing a little bit in Morocco. I think we have sold a line, and I think we have some contacts in South Africa with the company. And so it's yeah, we have some contacts, and we have sold some machine. I think the biggest one and the most business is in Morocco. So that's why we're looking forward to do more, to get contacts with dealers, to get contacts with customers in whole Africa. So this is actually the reason. So this is what I can see so far, what we have. So it's not too much. So we want to have more in Africa, and we're very open for every country almost.
Great. Mr. Buster, maybe you can stop sharing your screen so that Mr. Niels Wöllner can also share his and the product catalog when he's ready.
Yeah.
Awesome. We have people joining from Buenos Aires as well, so that's fantastic. Good afternoon, and thanks for being with us today.
Funktioniert's, Nils?
Right, so our Björn, can you stop sharing your screen? Then I can start sharing mine. Perfect. Thank you. I think that should have worked. So here is, can you see my screen?
Yes.
So here is also a little overview about the company, but I will start right away with the different products. So pretty much like we have like four, or we split our product range in pretty much four business fields, which is stunning, slaughtering, cutting, and finishing. So that's how you can, yeah, pretty much categorize our products. And it starts even before the stunning. And this is the solution, how you get the livestock into your building or into the slaughter crate. So we have like different products, like animal drovers. Yeah, I can open up the Q&A beside. Like it's pretty much, the whole catalog is pretty much built up like it would, like the process would happen in a slaughterhouse. So it goes like down the line. And then we start here with our stunning devices. That's all electrical stunning. And this is an interesting tool for everyone who's slaughtering cattle, also sheep, but I think it's more interesting for cattle. This one is a stimulator, which is used like at 2 points in the slaughter line. One is the bleeding. So this will have a positive effect on the bleeding of the cattle when you cut the throat. And also for dehiding, because of this electrical stimulation, the carcass will, or the muscles will contract, not contract, but it will get pretty much, the whole carcass will get stiff. So it's easy to dehide without damaging the meat. Yeah, so as you can see, we have a lot of different electrical stunning devices. But that's mostly interesting for pigs mainly, and with some modifications it can also used for chicken slaughtering and maybe also rabbits, as mentioned before. Different stun tones. If you should have any questions while we go through the product catalog, I can see if everyone is sharing an answer, sharing a question. So please feel free to ask while I'm presenting this. Yeah, these are our boat stunners, mainly for cattle. And this is also regarding or affecting the question, what is halal and what isn't? Maybe that has to be clarified individually, because as mentioned before, sometimes there are different regulations depending on the area where the animals get slaughtered on the country. But we have like one special boat stunner here, and that's the Schirmer KC, which is not penetrating. So even for areas where like stunning with the boat stunner wouldn't be allowed according to the halal rules, this one could be an option because the bolt is not going into the head for stunning. It will just knock out the cow or the cattle, because it's like there's a flat head coming out of here, and yeah, that's what knocks them out without penetrating the head. Then we come to slaughtering. I will mainly focus on sheep and cattle right now. If there should someone be interested in pig slaughter tools, especially, please let me know, and then I can go a little bit into that as well. So we have like the FNS9, that means foot and neck shear. This one is really suitable for lamb or sheep legs. Even at higher capacities, that will work out pretty well. That's the same one with a different handle, but the application is mostly sheep legs. You can also cut the neck off, but yeah, that depends on your individual process. Then we have like a pure head dropper shear here for sheep mainly. And these two shears here are used for cattle. One is for horns and the front legs. So if you have normally in your slaughterhouse, you when the cattle is hanging on the hooks, you can cut off the horns and the front legs with the HLS 12 and the back legs with the LS 15. So that's where they are normally placed. For the same application, but for smaller enterprises, you can also use this both saws, the HBKs. And as you can see, it's pretty much like a breaking saw, but with a guiding on it. And this is why it also can be used for horns and legs. But for bigger plants or medium-sized plants, we would also always recommend the hydraulic shears because it's just cleaner. Then we have also different shears for lamb horns or sheep horns, also for rams, of course, two different sizes. That's a horn guillotine for cattle mainly. And then we go further on to, yeah, we have this pretty much like a brisket saw, but a circular one, which can be used for sheep. It's not suitable for cattle. Then you have got your dehyder on the right side, which is usable for nearly all kinds of animals. So for sheep and cattle, that's pretty useful. Then we have, like, as an alternative to the circular breastbone saw, we have like a breastbone shear, it's driven pneumatically. That's also only for sheep, not for cattle. And for cattle are those ones. That's the most common one is the BBH 3003, and that's like a reciprocating brisket saw, which is used for cattle mainly. Because the other ones, you know, even if you could use them for a certain time, they are not so, I would say, not as viable as the BBH 3003 for cattle. So we recommend this one. Then we've got like circular splitting saws. They are also not recommended for cattle, so they are mainly for sheep and also for pigs, but mainly for sheep. And these are our splitting bandsaws. The splitting bandsaws can be used for sheep as well, of course, but because it's a lot smaller than pigs or cattle, it's mostly recommended for pigs and cattle to use these ones, and for sheep the circular ones, because it's just easier handling. We have different kinds of splitting bandsaws. For cattle, our biggest one would be the best one, because like if the distance in between the blade and the frame here on top is getting too tight, you will get trouble with the splitting of such big animals like cattle. So you need like the bigger frame for those operations. Then we come to the vacuum, like we have pretty much vacuum sucking systems. And additionally to this, you can also get like a steam sanitizer system. So if you want to like, increase your hygiene, product hygiene, you could use this at your abattoir to clean the carcass, like right after the slaughtering process. Sometimes you have like little contaminations, little hair on the carcass or some sort of things. And this one is pretty much sucking off the contaminated material and steaming or sanitizing or disinfections the carcass with hot steam at the same time. So it's pretty much like a vacuum cleaner for slaughtered cattle, which is pretty handy and will give you better results if someone will check your slaughterhouse. And the normal vacuum sucking system, like you have different hand tools which can be attached to the system. So you have like different sizes of the tank, different pumps, different powers. And then you can also, this is for pigs, but you can also use those heads or those heads for the vacuum system to suck out the spinal cord after splitting, for example. If you have to remove it, you can use this, and because it's kind of critical material in the slaughterhouse, it will get separated in the tank straight away. So you don't have to, you don't have it in between all the not contaminated goods. And then we also have like a, but that's also maybe more for bigger ones, like a spinal cord remover, which is also driven by a pneumatic motor and has got like a round blade on top. So that's for pretty much high capacity slaughterhouses, interesting as well. And we've got like vacuum trimmers, and they are used for, sometimes after slaughtering you have like different parts of the carcass, which also can be contaminated, like where you cut the throat or stick the pigs, for example, and then you cut that off before it goes to the further processing. And also this material will get sucked off straight away. And maybe interesting for the poultry plants or chicken plants here, because we have those ones in different sizes. Sometimes if you debone chicken carcasses, especially the breast, you have like, there's little pieces of leftover meat on the carcass. And these tools can be used to cut these little pieces off and collect them in the tank. So instead of maybe throwing the carcass with the meat on it in a separator, where you get pretty much like a low quality meat at the end, you could use this ones maybe first, and then you get like a higher price for this higher quality meat, and you still have like your separation or your separated meat as your second quality in your plant. Then we come to primer cutting. This one is like a quartering shear, also hydraulic driven for cattle. And then we have like smaller, as you also can see maybe on the motor, that's not as big as those black ones. These are like small quartering saws. For example, if you have like a small or medium-sized plant and you sell complete carcasses, or you sell like the forequarter or the hindquarter, then you could use that ones or these machines in the loading area to cut off the different quarters and load them on the trucks or give them to the customers. Then we have like, maybe that's interesting for cattle. Those are quartering saws, circular quartering saws for cattle. You can see that the neck of the gear here is extended, because if you want to do the quartering cuts from the front of the carcass, sometimes it's not easy to go in between those ribs. That's why this one is like an extended or longer version of the original saw. And then for, again, the poultry farmers, we have like a small circular blade, which is also driven by electric motor, which is perfectly usable also for rabbits, to do all the pre-cuts on this tool for chicken and rabbits, so cutting off the legs and the wings. That's what this one is used for. Now we come to the circular cutting knife. And this is what I mentioned earlier for primer cutting, especially for sheep. It is not 100% recommended for cattle, and it's also very hard to handle cattle that way, as you can imagine. But for sheep, it's perfectly suitable, especially this table version here. So you have like one fixed table and a blade on it, and you can do all the cuts you need on one workplace, for example. Yeah, pretty much. So even the splitting, what I mentioned before with the circular splitting saw, can be done on this table. So if the complete carcass comes to the deboning room after cooling down, you can do pretty much all cuts on this tool, this machine. It's very common. It's, many plants are using this for various cuts. So yeah, and then for the real big industrial plants, we have also another kind of circular cutting knife, but this has to be combined with the existing conveyor. So this is when your pieces are laying on the conveyor and going forward on the conveyor, and this circular knives are going to be placed above it and do this cuts automatically. So I think that's not that interesting for medium plants. Yeah, then we come to the breaking saws. We have one pneumatic driven breaking saw, everything else is electric. So the K16P4, that's like a one-hand breaking saw, which is pretty handy for cutting lamb, also doing like doing this rib cut when you do pigs. So this is pretty handy machine. And all other machines, you can see we have like different diameters of the blade. You see the first number is always mentioning the blade, and the second one is mentioning the motor power. So as bigger the numbers get, as bigger the blade and the motor will be. And yeah, I don't want to go too much in detail here, but for example, for cattle, we can recommend minimum the K23. The other ones will be too small. And then it depends on your capacity, what power of motor, like which size of the motor is the best one for you. Yeah, and then we have like also like special breaking saws, but that's mainly for pork, for pigs, like a rib top circular saw or bacon saw. But this is, yeah, pretty customized solution. Both of those machines are only for pigs. The left one is like a spare rib cutter. So after cutting out the loin, you have this leftover bone, and then you can put it in upside down, and we'll cut off the spare ribs inside those boxes, and we'll separate the backbone from the spare ribs. And I think you can do, up to 2,000 pieces an hour or something. So it's pretty high capacity machine. Then we come to the trimming. Basically, we have also two kinds of power supply for those trimmers. You can see here, that's a pneumatic one. The pneumatic motor is inside the handle. And this is different from the electric ones. They only have a plastic handle, and they are connected to the electric motor with a flex shaft, like with the drive unit, which is connected to the coupling on the motor and another coupling on the handpiece. If you're looking at those options, you can pretty much say like the pneumatic motor is more recommended in the slaughtering area, where you have to move a lot, because you only have to plug in a hose here and supply some air pressure, and that doesn't matter if that's 3 or 4 meters long, this hose, but you can move around a lot. The downside of the pneumatic motor compared to the electric one is it's more noisy and of course more heavy. So if you're working on one place, like in deboning, for example, in the deboning room, if the operator doesn't have to move a lot, we would always recommend to use the electric ones, because they are more lightweight and not that noisy. So yeah, that's how you can pretty much decide in general which one will be suitable. And then we've got, as you can see here, sorry, a lot of different opportunities for the configuration of your trimmer. So nothing is really standard for those tools. So if you have like a certain application which you want to do with those machines, it would be the easiest that you come up to us with your application, and then we can judge by your application which configuration will be the best for you. Because otherwise it's like a never-ending story in terms of what parts could be combined. Yeah, so as you can see, different blade diameters, different handles. That's, yeah.
Awesome.
I think we are.
Thank you so much.
Nearly at the end. I think I give the screen back to you.
Thank you so much for talking us through your product catalog. And I think it makes a lot of sense for us to see what specific tools you offer for what kind of animals. So I think that has been really helpful. And I can also see that the participants have actually remained with us throughout all of this, because clearly there is a lot of interest. So thanks again to all of our attendees for joining this webinar. Like I said earlier, there haven't been any questions coming in. I think that everyone has just been like really attentive and listening, which is a great sign. And after the webinar, we will be sharing the contact details of both Mr. Wöllner and Mr. Buster with all participants, and vice versa. We'll also be giving them your contact details. A couple of participants have also shared their numbers and the email addresses within the chat. All of this would be forwarded to our speakers with the presentation of today, the link to this webinar, and also the product catalog. So thank you so much for joining today's webinar. And if you have any questions, just please feel free to reach out to our speakers directly. There haven't been any more questions coming in, so I would say we can end today's session, unless Mr. Björn Busse would still make a few remarks.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, again, thank you from my side. When people want something, when people want to get in touch with us, want more information, want presentation, want technical information, want maybe references, just get in touch with us, what you want, how we can help, and then we have a dialogue and we will take care of them, and then we see where we end. So welcome to contact us, and we help them so good as we can.
Fantastic. Thank you to both of you, Mr. Björn Busse and Mr. Nils Wöllner, and we'll stay in touch. Thank you so much to all of our participants, and do enjoy your afternoon. Thank you and goodbye.
Okay, thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you too.
Okay, thank you.